Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. My name is T. Gridge. I'll be your host as always. I'm joined by Rick Hines. What's up, Rick?
What's going on, T?
You know, another day in paradise here. Excited to be back. Excited about the movement we've had on social. So we've had a couple of our TikTok videos reach over 100,000 views. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts. For an account that was started like 3 weeks ago, that's pretty wild.
Nice.
So people are paying attention. I've had some amazing comments. The people that love the podcast, people are getting a lot out of the podcast. You know, and really, look, our goal is to give value to travel ball players, travel ball coaches, and travel ball parents. That's the whole goal here. We're trying to give value. We're trying to make sure that when we're on here and doing these podcasts, we're giving you something that you can take to your team, something that your kid can do. So it's been really, really positive thing. I do have to tell you though, Rick, before we get to our special guest here, now is the time to buy a bat.
Okay.
All right.
From Guardian Baseball.
Guardian Baseball just bought out Easton's entire inventory of 2021 baseball and softball bats.
Okay.
They're available on guardianbaseball.com. The website is stocked with all new Easton Hype bats for UAAA, BB Core, as well as new bats from Mariucci and Axe and more. Guardian has the biggest selection of innovative bats and prices you will not believe. Go check it out yourself.
You can still use our promo code, right?
GuardianBaseball.com. Our promo code Kentuckiana Travel Ball will get you an additional 15% off. So Guardian Baseball, we are humbled to be sponsored by them, so please go check them out. Today we are joined by Mr. John Stratman. John is the head coach of the 11U and 13-year-old RBI Bulls. John, thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. So we're excited about this. I mean, obviously you cover a couple different age ranges that we're right in the middle of. So we know everything there is to know about the 12U, but to be quite honest with you, we're a little out of touch when it comes to the 11U and the 13U. So we're really excited you're here because, you know, we think you can give us some value on, you know, kind of what's going on in that world. So, John, give us a little bit of your background.
All right, let's see. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. Played baseball here at St. X High School.
What year did you graduate?
93.
Okay.
Old. From there, I signed with Kentucky.
Okay.
Played 2 years there, but I had a hurt shoulder.
All right.
The entire time I hurt it at St. X. And then from there, I transferred to Bellarmine College.
Okay.
And played up my last 2 or 3 years there.
Who'd you play for at Bellarmine?
Steve Kaufman.
Okay, sure.
And, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Mr. Malone, Coach Malone. My last 3 years
I figured it would be Steve Kaufman. We know Steve well, and Corey
Great
Kaufman,
guy.
his son's a real close friend of mine and do a lot of business with Corey. So great family.
Definitely, great guy.
And he's an awesome coach.
He was great. I had him just for a year though, and then he left on from there.
Okay.
So
you know, I'm glad you brought that up. We should bring Steve on at some point. He's coaching a Vipers team now.
14U.
A 14U team, yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So John, obviously you played at St. X, you played at UK. One of the things that I was told, and this is one of the hot button issues I want to get into right away, is that you had some baseball related surgeries kind of going through your career. That was arm surgeries, correct?
Yes, I had a rotator cuff tear, bone spur, and labrum tear.
All right.
All
so
three.
Was this an overuse thing? What is it that you think caused it?
Well, let's think about it. Back in 1988, 89, I'm playing Little League Baseball. I would pitch probably 1 or 2 games a day. It just, the arm care was not as important.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue.
It just wasn't. And my dad, who got drafted by the Dodgers, I mean, he knew baseball from start to finish, even that, and never registered as pitch counts, or it just you pitched a game, you pitched all 7 innings, and you went home.
Okay.
And I think from my standpoint, you know, I didn't play travel. I played Legion ball.
Sure.
So we didn't have the 5 games in a day, which was a good thing. We played 2 games a day typically and went home.
Yep.
But I would say probably my junior fall, I started having some pain in my shoulder, and then we did
This is high school.
This is high school at this point. I threw a tennis ball in the parking lot, and the entire shoulder ripped. I felt it. It was done. And
you don't hear about that at that age much.
Wow.
I had thrown so much ball. I mean, I threw from probably 4th grade on. I was a pitcher, left-handed pitcher. I didn't throw curveballs really until like 6th or 7th grade.
All right.
My dad was conscious of the elbow, but not the shoulder.
Not the shoulder. Okay.
So, so from there, they kept telling me it was tendonitis, it was this, it was that. I met with probably 15 doctors that I met with. Still could not find out. It's just tendonitis. MRIs didn't show a tear. Something was in there, okay? And then I went so my last 2 years, I would pitch maybe one game. It would take me 3 weeks to recover. I could not come back. It was just, the pain would be unbelievable, okay? So I got lucky. I went through the recruiting process, and I ended up signing with Kentucky.
Okay.
And then when I got to Kentucky, I threw a few bullpens, and then I just ripped it completely at that point.
Like right away?
Freshman
year?
Yeah, freshman year. So
okay.
I was redshirted, had rotator cuff surgery, labrum surgery, and bone spurs were removed.
Ooh.
So I was pretty much done. So my velocity dropped significantly in 3 years.
Went from what to what?
Well, I would say in my peak, my sophomore year, I pitched varsity for St. X. I hit 85 as a sophomore.
Okay.
So you got to think, okay, give me a couple more years, I'd be close to probably 90.
Oh, yeah,
maybe.
Sure.
I couldn't throw.
And there's some value there to the left-handed arm, too.
I would have been given an opportunity to play probably outside of high school and college, but I hit 82 at Kentucky. I could not.
Wow.
They shaved it down to the bone, basically.
Okay.
They didn't cut me. They scoped me. There's a difference.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Feeling that I could come back sooner, I just couldn't come back. And I was done. And I just hit for a year at Kentucky, but at that point, when you play D1, they're going to recruit over you eventually. I wasn't a 6'6" first baseman, okay? They recruited a guy at a JUCO out of Sacramento. I saw the writing on the wall.
Yep.
I wasn't going to pitch probably again.
Yep.
So I tried to transfer to Louisville with Coach Prado.
Okay.
Because he recruited me a
Lay
little
low,
bit.
sure.
And UK would not release me to Louisville.
Okay.
So I wanted to play right away.
Yeah, of course
So
not.
So I went to D2 route and play right away and just hit.
Okay.
The last couple of years.
Gotcha.
So that's my story.
And then that's how you end up at Bellarmine.
Well, it's amazing that, you reference back to nobody really cared about the pitch count and stuff like that. Did UK have any inkling of that? Like, did they
That's a great question.
kind of monitor that or know what you were doing?
Well,
did they have any idea of any kind of arm issue?
They did, obviously.
Okay.
So I was being recruited by Notre Dame, Tennessee, Kentucky, Moorhead, and Bellarmine were the 5 major ones. And I was going to go to Notre Dame. That's where I wanted to go.
Sure.
When that hit, they were out.
Okay.
They were looking at maybe $4,000 or $5,000 offer. My parents couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids in private
Sure.
schools. It wasn't an option.
Sure.
And then Tennessee backed away at that point. So Kentucky, though, stayed with me, and they came and watched me pitch one time in the spring, my senior year.
And, okay, so
I'm
this is
sorry.
after everything.
Yeah. And I pitched pretty well, and I had taken a lot of Advil or whatnot
Sure.
to get through it. I pitched pretty
Patched you
well.
up.
Yeah. And then they said, hey, we want to keep you and bring you on to Kentucky still.
Okay.
So I still got a nice scholarship offer. But when I got there, they knew I was injured. And it never came back. So Madison was, because I was the only left-handed pitcher on the team.
Okay.
I would have pitched so much my freshman year. So, but I never could throw.
I tell you, Coach Madison, who's been on our show,
Okay.
is incredible. I used to run his golf scramble for several years way back when. And
Right.
Man, he's a better human than he is a coach.
I would agree with that.
And
yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, he's just an unbelievable mentor and person. And
Right.
being able to have that opportunity had to have been pretty cool.
It was. But I felt like I didn't really accomplish it, though.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So,
because you got there and really couldn't play.
Couldn't play that much, yeah. So.
All right. So how have you used your experience from a coaching standpoint? How do you take care of your arm care of your pitchers?
A whole different level.
Okay.
I've got 2 young boys, 11 and 12. The 12-year-old plays with my 13, but he'll be 13 in March,
Okay.
or I should say April, so he's pretty much of age. I've been on pitch count since they were 10 years old. I do not let a kid throw. Usually our number right now, honestly, even for 11-year-olds, we had a kid throw 65 last week. We pulled him. He's out. He's done. He will not throw the rest of the weekend, okay? 13U, I'll go to maybe
wait
80.
a minute. Hold on. So you're saying 65 pitches and then they're done?
They were done.
For the weekend?
For the weekend. Well, they had to, I will be honest with you, they had to that day because they had pitched 4 innings.
Okay.
But even so, if he'd come back on Sunday, we may have thrown him 20 pitches at the most, 30 at the most. But
Okay.
I don't like that 100 pitch count. It makes me nervous. These kids are young, okay? My 13-year-olds, I'll have them go maybe 85, 90 at the most. But that's in one day. So I looked up Game Changer, just so you know, this past weekend. I saw an 11-year-old pitcher throw 150 pitches between Saturday and
For the weekend.
But that's too much. That's just too much. I'm sorry. 90 one day and 40 the next day.
Okay.
That's just too much, in my opinion.
Now,
with these kids, and throwing curveballs too at the same time.
We have a guy, and John, I'm gonna ask you to get a little bit closer to the
I'm
mic.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine. We have a guy that we coach against frequently, and he's been very open in saying this. So I'm not even, I don't think saying this on air is an issue. But his thing, he pitches his kids a ton. He hits those marks. Couple of them who are really good pitchers.
Okay.
And his thing is, look, we do arm care almost year round. They're okay. We're working on this in the off season. We're building that strength. We're doing arm care. So, we're not doing anything harmful. What would you say to that?
In my 6 years as a coach pitching coach, I haven't had one arm injury in 6 years. Okay. I look at some of these teams that we'll play against. We'll see kids walk up in slings. We'll see kids walk up and they'll say, hey, I pulled my shoulder last week. I wonder why. Because I see the same teams that pitch the same kids every single weekend, over and over. Sure. And I heard coach, and you look at and we saw some kids the last couple of weekends that would pitch. We're talking probably 70 pitches on a Saturday, and they came back and threw again on Sunday.
Okay.
And they're still 12 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think if we're at a win at all cost attitude at this point. What are you trying to prove at this point? I mean, I want these kids playing high school baseball. I don't care if they win a 10U tournament now, in my opinion.
It's all about developing the kids.
It really is.
We talk about that a lot on this show, too.
Right.
I mean, look, we want to win and we want to do well. It's more fun. We want more fun if we do. But it's all about developing them and getting them ready for the next level. If I've got to sit a kid because of an attitude thing and we're going to lose the tournament, I need to do that as a coach because that's getting him ready for the next level.
100%. I think because of my situation, I'm overly cautious, and I get that, and I understand that. Some kids, some coaches, I've noticed that. Hey, I look it up, and it's like you've pitched this kid now 3 out of the last 4 days. What are you trying to? You've got 10 other kids on this team that could probably pitch 2.
Yeah.
And I think our point is we've got 12 kids in our 13 and 11 in our 11U. And honestly, we're trying to get all 11 kids to get some work. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
now,
I get that.
There'll be certain days that
we
will minimize that down to 6 or 7 typically, where, there's your core pitchers. But right now in the fall, why would you pitch a kid that much in the fall? It's fall baseball.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I have a rough time with that. And a lot of times, these are from coaches sometimes who never played a game in their life.
Yep.
And that bothers me sometimes. Looking at my shoulder where I got, I'm scarred up quite a bit for that because I just think that we can avoid that right now. Let these kids ride out. Matt Anderson, good example. I mean, he didn't throw a lot of ball until he got to high school.
That's true.
And he had an arm left. So there's a lot to say for that.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
And Matt Anderson was the number 1 draft pick for the Major League Baseball. So,
I listen to Chris Welsh on the Reds all the time talk about arm care. And he said, there's so many kids in high school that didn't pitch until high school. It's amazing how much stronger they are. They waited. Now, granted, there may be a lack of experience there, a strike zone, but he talked about that. He talked about they had strength in their arm. They didn't have inning after inning throwing the last 4 or 5 years. So I would argue if you look back in the last 5 years, look at the next 5 years of high school baseball pitchers, I wonder which ones are still pitching and which aren't.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some data on that.
Seriously. You see it in other sports too. So my kids were pretty dominant cross-country runners as very small youths.
Okay.
And, we've talked to high school coaches, like their best runners are kids that don't even run cross country until they get to high school.
100%.
Because they're not used up. They don't have the miles and the pounding on their feet. Same with pitching. They don't have that pounding on their arm day after day, tournament after tournament. It doesn't do any good to be a dominant pitcher at 12U.
It makes no sense
with you.
It makes no sense. My sons didn't start pitching until they were probably 11U. First time. And I feel like they'll be stronger because of that down the road. That's just my opinion because I'm showing you my scars to prove it. So.
But I tell you, man, this travel ball stuff it's new, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. And it's not something that's been around forever. It hadn't been around all that long. So we don't really know until these kids actually, there's a full cycle, these kids that get into college and out, what this really is doing to the kids' arms. Chris Burke said on this show, there's not a whole lot of data that says that we shouldn't be throwing more.
There's a lot of luck involved too. I mean, you don't know your body makeup. I mean, everybody's different. It could be a luck thing. You're just prone to an injury.
No, if you've got proper mechanics, I mean, there's no reason. I know Greg Maddox pitched through every single day.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's just I had bad luck. Maybe I had a bad mechanic. I don't know, but I think because of that, I'm just more cautious.
Well, Chris also said Andy Pettit, who obviously probably a Hall of Famer. His sons had every arm care program in the world, and once one of them got to college, they blew out immediately.
Is that right?
And it's sometimes it's just not meant in the cards, and it's tough.
And some kids are so big and strong at 12 and 13.
Yeah.
They can withstand
doing
that. They really can. Some kids can. So I think it's not a just cut and dry, black and white, okay, these kids can only throw these pitches, but look at someone physically, okay, this guy I could probably handle more than the other kid. But I think we try to keep it within that box, though, for our standpoint.
So do you have any kids that, and John, I think your makeup's a little bit more like our team, so I don't know that you'll run into this as much, but do you have any kids that go on and play middle school ball during your travel season?
We've got a couple, yes. A couple kids play middle school ball.
How do you handle that?
I've always been under the impression school comes first, and if your kid plays for the school team, play your school schedule. But
so you think that should come before your travel team?
Well, during the week is when they play. They didn't play weekends.
Right.
That made sense. So
but what if you got a kid that's pitching and?
Well, I will tell you, I'll leave it up to the parent, and the parent will tell me. But I was lucky enough; both my parents said they will not pitch for their school team; they'll pitch for you. So I let the parent decide, not myself. So
that was our situation as well.
Yeah, they both decided.
It was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be, but that was the conversations that we had at that level.
And our kids ended up pitching way too much for the middle school team.
Right,
well,
I understand.
The middle school ball thing's interesting to me, and I'd really like for people to maybe chime in via comments or send us some messages, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. My kid is in a private school, and John, I think you guys are in the same situation. So middle school ball isn't a thing. There's CSAA ball, but that's really not even. Yeah, and some years they don't even have enough, so it's really not a big deal. To the kids they're more in the public school system, I think playing that middle school ball is a bigger deal, and it is more important to them to be able to make that team and play for that team, which I understand and I get. But what I'm trying to figure out is how that works with a travel season. So we're talking about pitching, right, and overuse.
Right.
To me, playing on these multiple teams is where a kid's going to hurt themselves, because at least on our travel team, we got a very good understanding how much we've thrown a kid. We know how much he's thrown in practice.
Right.
We know how much he's thrown on the weekends. We know what kind of work we're putting him through. I have no idea what this other coach is doing. The parents are supposed to be telling him this and that. Right. But who knows what's really happening? I know our kids typically go to these middle school teams and they're the better players, so they're playing shortstop or they're pitching, and because they have to. Yeah. That's what worries me. We have a kid that's one of our better pitchers that went through some injuries in the past, the later part of the season, and I really think it was because of two teams. And I'm trying to figure out from a coaching standpoint how to handle that, because I don't want to tell the kid, nope, can't go do it. You got to be on my team. Right. But at the same time, we want to protect these kids' arms.
Because some of these kids, too, in middle school will play with these kids in high school. They're just going to move on down the road together.
Classmates.
Right. And so I understand. That's why I felt like we were pretty fair. Hey, play with your school teams. If you got to miss practice, play that game. I'm good with that. But on the weekends, if you're not playing, I need you for our baseball team. Yeah. But like I said, the parents were like, hey, he's not going to pitch for this team. Or if he does, he might pitch one inning on the weekday. That's a bullpen. I'm good with that. It's a live bullpen, too.
Yep.
That's helping me out a little bit, too. Right. So I was okay with that, actually.
So talk to me about practice. What do you guys do from a pitching's perspective in practice?
In practice, well, I would say, I'm lucky enough I have Coach Walker from Cal. He puts them through a pretty good pitching program where every day we have like a 5 or 6. It's about a 10-minute drill to get these kids loose. You start from wrist throws to balance drills to lunges. We go from progression. From there, we take the kids to the mound, okay? And from there, we'll do maybe, it depends on, like wintertime, we'll do 2 bullpens a week, I should say. So we'll do a Wednesday bullpen and a Sunday bullpen. We'll do it twice a week for the next, 2 months, okay?
How does that look, though? So I'm trying to...
It's hard to describe unless you're at practice.
I get it, but when you got 11 kids, is everybody doing it, or how are you doing it from that perspective?
If we have two mounds, we can knock it out pretty quick, 45 minutes. I mean, we can knock out, you're going to throw maybe a 15, 20-minute bullpen with instruction to 2 catchers, okay? You'll do groups of 4, technically. So we have maybe 3 or 4 catchers. We have a couple catchers who don't throw at all. They'll just catch. Okay. That makes it a little bit easier.
That does make it easier.
But we'll still have 9 or 10 bullpens. And we'll just knock out those bullpens in an hour and 15 if we have to. So, but that's all we do. We do bullpens and we hit in the wintertime. There's no defense indoor. It's just those 2 things for a while. That's all we're going to do.
And I understand that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing your bullpens, are you working on your grip, arm slot, different pitches? What are you working on?
It's working off your back leg a little bit. I want you to stand back. I want the down angle towards. A lot of our kids cross their bodies so much.
Yep.
We have a white line on our mound.
Yep.
We go straight towards our catcher.
Yeah.
Each and every time.
Sure.
But a lot of our kids are all arm. Or a lot of kids, they tendency of going sidearm. I want the kids more up top, okay? I think it's better for your arm right now. I know this is a natural throwing motion.
Yep.
But for me, these kids that go sidearm, they go across their body too much for me. It keeps them upright. We have kids that want to lean back.
Yeah.
I think they can throw harder that way.
Yeah.
No. I want your body in balance towards that catcher each
Sure.
and every time. So if they fall off the side a little bit, that's fine with me. I'm not worried about that. But we just put them through a 15, 20-minute bullpen and get them out of there. We don't worry about grips right now. That's more down the road. We'll worry about, we'll do 2 and 4-seam grips with these guys. 13s now, we're doing curveballs, of course, changeups. My 11s is really much just fastballs and changeups. Because Coach Walker's the same way. If you got a curveball, okay, but let's master that changeup first, then worry about the curveball next. So that's kind of our thoughts.
So Coach Arnold's got his theory on this, but I'd like to hear yours.
Yep.
What percentage of strikes do these kids need to be throwing to be able to pitch for you on the weekends?
Well, 11U baseball, you can attest to this. It could be a walk fest sometimes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, we've noticed, too, like in the fall, our kids, because now we're dealing with basketball, okay? So our kids, we're playing this week in our last tournament, we're done for 11s. It seems like every pitcher goes to full count. Every single batter's a 3-2 count.
Oh, yeah.
It'll drive, your pitch
Yep.
count just rises up at that point. I'm more inclined, if you can get around, to me, our best pitchers in our 12s last year around 70% strikes. It seemed like 77%. That's our number.
And that seems high. So
it was pretty high. I think you're
pretty
looking
good.
more probably 55, 60,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. But that's what I've saw in our top 2 or 3 pitchers. And while they were successful, they threw strikes.
Yep.
Just throw to contact.
wasn't like they were throwing it past you.
No, I
They
don't
just
need
put
that.
it over the plate.
I don't need that.
Yeah,
and,
same.
And you look at high school.
Yeah.
They just want kids to throw strikes too.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all they want.
Yeah,
So it's crazy.
that's interesting. So we have
What does Coach Arnold think?
so
What's
it's
his number?
basically
60.
60. It's
Okay.
1 to 2,
Yeah.
pretty much. I
Right.
mean, 60% is where now. I think that gets a little bit higher as you get into high school, but 60% is kind of the number that we strive for.
Well, once you get into high school, you're going to throw those pitches. You want to get those swing and misses. You're
Correct.
not just
The
throwing it
0-2
right down
counts.
the middle.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but
You don't want to
got-
serve up
hey,
meatballs every time.
But you've got to be able to control it when that matters too.
You got to hit your spots.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
hit the
I think our
corners.
issue, we try not to do too much dance around 0-2 count. These kids struggle enough throwing strikes. Okay, so if you have an
Don't waste
0-2
any
count,
pitches.
go after them. That's more than 11U. 13s now we play around more in the corners, but 11U we're just go after these guys.
So let me ask you that: are you calling pitches in locations?
We are not with 11U. We are not. 13s we do. I'll pitch. I'll call the pitch and the count and this and that.
In location.
Yeah.
And your kids are hitting it pretty.
Not well. They're trying.
They're trying.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying. I mean, these kids are 12 and 13 years old. Now, we'll tell you, I did that in the very beginning. By June, I gave it to the catcher. You make the call now. We've done this now for 3 months because when I was growing up, I didn't have a coach giving me signs.
No,
the catcher
sure.
gave me signs.
Yeah.
But I felt like we were in the game more because of that.
Yeah.
So by June, we have the catcher call the signs and did a pretty good job last year.
Well, I'll
So
tell you what, that takes the catchers can do it though.
we have
Right.
one that can do it on the older team. We do.
I mean,
Now,
that's important.
The 11U is still working. That's a young age to know when to call.
How important
that.
is that, John? That you have a catcher that can control the game like that?
It's the most. I think besides the pitcher, it's the most important position on the field. If you've got a catcher who can throw guys out, who make the right calls, it's invaluable, in my opinion. We always joke about tryouts. When is that 6'3" catcher going to come in here? Can throw it down to second base
With a
in
cannon.
2.43 seconds? I mean, they're not out there right now, but we've got some good guys that can play. and understand the game. And we've got a little catcher on a 13. We had 2 catchers on a 13s, really, that they can play a little bit. And they're starting to figure out when to call pitches, who the batter is. And we'll remind them, too, hey, this is 3, 4, 5. This guy did this last time. But 0-2 count, let's not be too fine. Let's go after him, but let's be off the play a little bit. But let's not waste pitches. I mean, I can't stand base on balls. That gave my dad a zipper because base on ball. If I walked 2 or 3 guys in a row, he was watching a girls' soccer game and not watching me play anymore. So it was bad. But no, that's what we focus on is strikes. Just throw strikes and see what happens. Let your defense make the plays.
Yeah, let them work.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
You know, if you put a defense out there that can make a few plays, man. Right. It's just so much better than giving those base runners. Because
don't overcomplicate things.
Even at 13, kids are probably taking second more times than not.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's just,
it's still a triple.
You're giving 2 base. Right.
It's still a triple.
It is. I mean, and especially for us. So our team is built on speed. That's
how you guys play in Panama.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's my 11s. My 11s are built on speed.
Gotcha.
They can all run.
Yep. That's what it is. We're going to take 3 bases pretty much every time. So be ready. And if you don't have a catcher that can throw it, you're in trouble.
Right.
But look, heck, we lost a game to a team a couple weeks ago that we stole 11 bases and they stole 1 and we still lost. Wow. So it's like it's
how'd
still.
you lose that game?
I don't want to talk about it.
Wow.
Lack of execution.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, but again,
it's 12-year-old baseball.
It is 12-year-old baseball. Right. So, John, give me a little bit about RBI. So, why is it you guys are with that organization?
Back in I guess it was 8U baseball, which was that's 6 years ago. So, 2015, I guess. I was looking for. We were playing at South Odom Little League. My youngest at that point was 7 years old, and over time you could tell that some kids put some time into it, some did not. And I felt like it wasn't fair to my boys that put a lot of time in every day working on their game. And when my youngest said, hey, I don't want to throw the baseball too hard, I may hit such and such in the face. Well, that's not helping him either.
Right.
So we decided, I did all my research. I went to about 5 or 6 different organizations, talked about pricing. I don't want to mention the other ones I talked to.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
And RBI kind of made sense in terms of proximity. I mean, we're on Westport Road. My families all live in Oldham County, Westport Road area. The price was very, very doable. And he was Mark was very much in the developmental type situation where blue collar, get some kids who want to work hard, develop them and kind of go from there. So we weren't just picking the best players we could find. I found some kids that wanted to get better at 8U and then kind of took it from there. Yeah. So RBI has been good to me. So I can't complain.
Did you bring in like a handful of kids with you from South Odom?
I brought in like 6 kids from South Odom and had to pick up 5 in tryouts. Okay. Just random tryouts is all it was. It was new to travel. I was the guy that said, I won't do travel baseball. Right. I'm good with Little League, Then that changed pretty quick.
Well, it does.
It
does when your kid is out there throwing catch, and then you feel like they're going to kill the other kid.
Yeah, they can't catch it.
And it's crazy. My last year of having my son play rec league, we put him out to pitch, and the catcher was like, "I'm not doing it." And they couldn't. There was nobody that would. My son didn't even throw it hard.
And where was
and
this?
It was like it was at Hikes Point.
Okay, yeah.
And they couldn't find a kid that would even catch. So it was like, what are we going to do? I mean, and I'm sitting there thinking, golly, you ought to see these other kids on our team. They would kill you.
You're right. You're right.
It's an interesting situation. Rec ball is certainly going the wrong direction in our area, and this isn't everywhere, but in our area of Kentucky, rec ball is not going the right direction, unfortunately.
No, it's not.
And now they've opened it up to where these Ripken and Little League things, they are travel ball teams.
They're basically a travel ball team.
And they're just trying to go play on TV.
Even the Little League World Series, I mean, those are travel teams.
Those travel teams, 100%. So, John, what do you guys do fundraising-wise? Is that something you guys get into?
I'll be honest with you. That's my weakest point as a coach.
Okay.
I've got some parents that do maybe Super Bowl squares during the wintertime, but honestly, that is an area of weakness for me. I hate to fundraise personally.
I don't like it either.
And my coaches do too, and most of my parents do as well. So, it's a different dynamic. My 11U is definitely more involved in the fundraising. My 13s would prefer not to fundraise. Yeah. So that does make it easier, though. I can focus on one team, but honestly, that's the only thing I've done is Super Bowl squares. So that's embarrassing.
And that's it.
That's it. That's it. We don't fundraise that much.
Well,
so
if you're into fundraising,
I'm not proud of this. Trust me, but it is what it is.
Look, this is not something we've done a lot of as a team. So we have a fundraiser going on currently.
Okay.
We're doing a bunch of different bourbons. We have a Yeti cooler. It is a pretty awesome collection of alcohol.
Alcohol in a really nice cooler.
And a really, and I mean, I tell you what, this is it's well over $1,000 worth of stuff. We do a $20 basically ticket.
Okay.
And if anybody's interested, I'll put the picture up, and you can get on and buy a chance from us right now, because it's going to end November, I think 7th. We're doing our drawing, but it's something where we haven't done a whole lot of fundraising. So we're trying to get more into it, because we got parents that want to fundraise, and I'm totally cool with that. I understand. We have a mom that's been phenomenal of running it. So that's been really helpful, is we've kind of been able to pass it off, and it hadn't really been the coaching staff having to do too much of it.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and she's been unbelievable. So, we're going to try to do more and more, but I'm always curious to hear what fundraising ideas work best for other teams, because, we're not above stealing some ideas.
Well, see, we used to host tournaments at RBS Field on Westport Road. Yeah. So that's how we fundraised at 8 and 9U. And then when COVID hit, we just haven't gone back to that, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that's how we made quite a bit of money just hosting a short 5-team tournament. I'd make anything maybe from $1,000 to $1,200 just right there on concessions. And
that makes a ton of sense.
It's a lot of work, though.
Oh, heck yeah. You got to have a lot of bodies.
You got a lot of help.
I mean, it's 8 to 8 every day. So it's
we ran
a
league, so we know all about that.
Yeah, you get it then.
Oh, it was a lot.
Finding umpires.
Oh, gosh.
And then whatever umpire you find, people are going to hate. So no matter how good
they've had some history with them, right, at some point.
Yeah. I mean, that's always kind of interesting too. But so you mentioned something there, John, I want to get your opinion on.
Yeah, sure.
So you said that you were the dad that was going to just do Little League.
Right.
So what are your feelings on travel ball? Where do you see it going?
I love travel baseball.
Okay.
I'll be honest
I like
with
that.
You. I mean, I love travel baseball. I don't like certain aspects. I think it's maybe because of who you play at times. You know what they're out to do. They're before I say anything, that's probably going to come across the wrong way. I think you have coaches in it for the wrong reason sometimes. They're in it for one reason, is to get how many rings can I get in it.
Yeah, and it's more self-serving.
It really is. But the travel part of the competition, I love the tournament feel of it.
Yep.
I don't like playing 4 games in a day. I'm not going to lie to you. That's no fun. I mean, to me, that's on your 4th game, you're on fumes. Your kids are, and that's where you pick up injuries, in my opinion, at times. But I love the whole feel of competing with, I like competing with teams outside of Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You play in Louisville, you play the same teams
over and over.
Right. So I know our teams next year are going to play more outside of Kentucky the first few tournaments, just to see something different.
Yeah.
But I love travel baseball. I've enjoyed it for 6 years, and I can't imagine not doing it for another at least. Well, John's in 5th grade, so at least 4 more years before high school starts. So that's be it. So
and Rick, I think you can attest to this. The thing that I love so much about travel baseball is the people that we're with have become family.
Yes, they're friends. Mm-hmm.
And it's who you do everything with.
Right.
You're going out to eat with them. You're spending constantly. You're vacationing with them.
Correct.
So as you're looking to pick a travel organization, make sure you mesh with those parents, right? Because it's going to be a situation where you're going to be with them a lot. Yep. And if you don't see yourself fitting in with that group of people, might not be the right fit for you.
We have turned kids away that are really good ball players, but if I met the parent, it's like, it's not going to be a good fit. Or I can see in day one, they're going to complain about something.
Yep.
And not let the process kind of work itself out. So I recruit parents more than kids sometimes, to be honest with you. I really do.
And so a lot of the college coaches I have conversations with, they want to know about the parents.
Yep.
Right.
They want to know how.
They know the kid can play.
What am I dealing with?
Right.
I mean, so a parent can get a kid unrecruited just as pretty quickly. More so than they can't help them. Well, so parents need to know that. They need to understand that you can hurt your kid in this. You just need to just lay back and let them do their thing.
Well, I'll tell you, I heard Coach Porta talk about this last week, is you also have kids who have reputations of bouncing from team to team. That's a turnoff for me.
Heck yeah, it is.
If I see a kid that showed up, they've had 7 different travel hats.
Yeah.
What's going on? That, to me, that's a red flag. I'm not sure. I don't care how good they are. There's a reason why they keep switching teams. So at least from my standpoint, I know I'm the coach, and that makes it easier to stay where I'm at. But we've been pretty loyal to RBI. It doesn't mean I may not leave someday and something else pops up.
Sure.
But one change is better than 6 changes. You know what I mean? And I think we've been pretty consistent with where we stayed at. But that is a red flag to me.
Well, being a loyal family and being a loyal player, That's pretty important too.
It is. It is.
So when you have a list, and we can go see it in UTrip. You can go look at the roster history and see.
It's unbelievable.
Sometimes you see these lists of the teams these kids have played for, and it's insane.
They'll play half years. They'll
Right.
switch half. They'll switch in May. There's teams that play with 12 teams. I've noticed that, and it's like, what are you doing? So when that kid shows up, I don't want that kid.
Yeah.
I hate it for that child because it's not his fault.
Right.
You know, it's the mom or dad's fault.
Right. It's
but
not. It's
the kid will
typically not
play
the kid.
anywhere.
It's not.
Kid will
It's
play
not.
anywhere.
Exactly.
Typically.
Yeah, we've had some kids leave our team in the past, and it had nothing to do with the kid.
Right.
Like nothing. Kid was a great fit, great player,
No,
got to play.
100%.
It was all about the parents.
I've had high school coaches call me about certain kids on our team because they've heard they may be going to this school. And I'll tell them, this is the only place he's played, or this is his 5th place. Oh, okay, we're good then. There are things that coaches look for. I mean, I did it. I played high school. I played college.
Yeah.
And body language is important, but really commitment and staying with, it's kind of staying on task, I guess you could say. But it really is the changing from team to team. That's the one bad thing about travel baseball.
I totally
in my
agree.
opinion. Yeah.
I totally agree. 2 things you mentioned there. One being that pick a travel organization that a coach does have some influence. Relationships matter.
It does.
And John, because obviously you're connected here, and I think you'll understand the importance of this. When you have a travel coach that can at least get you in the door, now you're going to go to tryouts, and you're going to have to go through the same thing that everybody else is.
Right.
And if you just show up cold and you're the most talented kids there, that's one thing. But having a travel ball coach that can call that high school coach and say, "Hey, look, here's why you want this kid. You need this kid." That goes a long way.
Yeah, I think so. I've made 2 phone calls in the past 6 months to a high school coach about 2 of my kids, and they've already been in contact with that school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not in a recruiting situation. It's just that I've got a couple kids looking at your school. I think you need to look at these kids. These are good ball players. And so they've already connected. They've come out to watch them play. So it didn't hurt them. I'm not saying I have this name like a Chris Burke. That's not what I'm saying anyway. But I do know some coaches around town that have asked me, what do you have this year? Well, I've got a couple kids that are going to be in your area of town. I don't know if they're going to go there, but I think you should come out and look at them.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, simple as that.
Yeah,
So,
we've gotten a lot here lately.
I mean, I think most high school coaches should probably do that. I mean, if they're being honest with themselves.
Right.
There is a disconnect there. I agree.
I mean, like we talked about with some schools here around town, but I also think there's a disconnect between the coaches of travel and the high school baseball coach where there is what's the word that Coach Walker was talking about? Tell them this as a high school baseball coach. There is such the teaching aspect of things is, high school, we teach a certain way of playing ball, a certain way to field a ground ball, to throw a ball.
Sure.
They go to travel, and because they're playing so many games, it's just get it and go. And there's the lack of fundamentals is the concerning part from what I hear from high school baseball coaches a little bit. Is travel is more about playing than practicing. So there's a lot to that, to be honest.
Well, make sure you're in an organization that's teaching you the right way to do it.
100%.
I mean, because you're right. Because you are playing so much, man, you can create bad habits quick.
Really bad habits.
And
really
it's hard to break when you've done them every day for a few years.
Yeah, we're playing at the most. What do you guys play in a year for your team? How many tournaments do you all play typically?
We play like 11 to 12 tournaments.
Okay. We're 10 to 12 at the most, and in a spring league as well. So we may be, depending on how many games you play in a weekend, we're probably maybe 45, 50 games. Maybe
I think we played 50 games.
I could be off there a little bit.
Roughly 50 games.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got teams playing 110, 100. And those are the teams
know how they do it.
I don't want to play that much baseball.
No, I don't know how they do it.
I love basketball. I love football.
I totally agree.
And I think that's a disconnect too. These coaches just want to play as much as they can. What purpose is that? Because you're not getting any better probably.
Yep.
Okay. So that's my philosophy.
We in our Panama City tournament, our first game of the thing, we played this team from Alabama. They're called Top Gun. And
I think I saw that name.
We were having the plate meeting. And the guy was super nice guy, great, very, wanted to talk. The umpires were talking, so the other head coach and I were talking. And he said, "Yeah, how many games do you play?" And I said, "Man, we played a lot. This is like our 50th game of the year." And he goes, "Oh." I was like our 150th. And I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
they'd already played, and I looked on game, they had played 150 games.
How's that possible?
Well, I mean, they play year round.
They're
so
in Alabama,
okay,
a
that's
little
true.
warmer
they
climate.
just don't
That's
stop. But still, I mean, talk about burnout, right? I mean, these kids are going to get to the next level in high school and be like, I'm done.
Well, and
This
they're
is
still
just too
kids,
much.
especially at the 12 and under. They're still kids. They want to do other things. Like
Even though my 13-year-olds are still kids.
Yeah.
They want to go with their friends
Hang
and do
out,
something
just-
else. So I don't think we're probably as rigid as some organizations are. And that's why I like Mark's philosophy. Now his older teams play a lot of ball and they're high level. I get that. And we're not a major team. Okay.
Right.
Let's make sure we're AA, AAA at the best. We can compete with some AAA teams, but we're mostly a AA team, I would say. But that doesn't mean in 3 years our kids aren't playing at a high level in high school either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways of development, this and that. So I feel pretty good with the direction we're going.
Again, it's all about getting these kids ready for the next level.
That's all we care about. That's all we care about.
And so I listened to Coach Arnold, listen to Coach Porta, I listened to all these high school coaches talk about, look, it's all about making sure if these kids want an opportunity in college, that's what we're doing.
Yes.
We're getting ready for these kids for that opportunity. Well, in our situation, we're getting them ready for that, to the high school.
Right.
We're trying to hand them off to them, ready for that next step.
100%.
So, to me, that's our number one and really only goal.
Well, and also, we've always, from day one, we've always moved our kids around different positions. Always.
Yeah.
And so, like, for instance, this year, my older team, we're probably going to have kids that played outfield play more infield. Just because I want these kids prepared to play all 9 positions. We did a camp with Joe Adele a couple years ago through Lou Ott and through Rick Bledsoe from
Awesome.
Ballard. Great guys. And we met with Joe, and Joe said, learn all 9 positions.
Oh, yeah.
Learn them all. Play
Yep.
them all. Don't feel like the outfield's a demotion. It's a
Yeah.
promotion.
Yeah, sure.
And so trying to change that mindset from the parents is
Yep.
the hardest part.
It is.
They want to play shortstop, they want to pitch, and that's it. But center field is just as important. Catching is just as important. So there's a mindset you've got to change, but it comes from the coach. So we do a decent job. We could do better of changing our kids the positions. They can play in multiple spots. Like our 11U, all 11 kids can play all 9 spots. We're proud of that. These kids can play. In 3 or 4 years, they're going to be tough. But right now, they're still learning how to play shortstop, how to play third base.
Right.
Our 13s, we're doing that more and more now. So we're going to lose some games because of it.
Sure.
But that's okay. If the kid gets better, I'm okay with that.
So, John, I mean, look, I agree with that in a sense, and we move our kids around a lot too. But it's hard to teach every kid.
It is.
Every little intricacy of every spot, right?
It is.
Know every kid knowing the right foot placement to do first base and all that kind of stuff, and knowing how to hold a kid on if you're at shortstop and those type of things that are hard to teach them all.
Well, some kids aren't a shortstop. Some kids will not.
Absolutely,
They can't play.
Absolutely,
it is what it is. But
and
we
know
try.
that pretty quick.
Yeah,
But I'm with you. You still got to give those kids reps. They might not be a shortstop, and they may be playing left field the whole time,
Correct.
but you can put them at second base some.
100%.
And you can give them those
And
opportunities.
if you play
there.
outfield, that's going to help their agility to
Yeah.
play the infield.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So,
Right.
but I heard him say last week, we hear a kid that played shortstop for 12 years. Well, he can't play anything else.
Yeah.
How's that going to help him?
Right.
If you go to X, Trinity, Mail,
they've already got 7 shortstops.
They've got 7 shortstops. Play something else.
Yeah.
I'll play wherever you put me. Just play set catcher.
John, that's the answer, man.
You've got to do that.
When
I'm telling you.
when these high school coaches ask you where you play,
Oh my
wherever
gosh.
you need me, coach.
I was
That is
left-handed.
the answer.
I was limited. I was
yeah, you
left-handed.
were limited.
That's
right.
all I had was
right.
first
You weren't
base and
catching or
outfield.
playing
No.
second.
You know
I
my
would have
son's
loved
gonna,
to have played
You know my
shortstop.
son's going to say catcher, even though he
Oh yeah,
never played.
oh yeah. He's gonna say
No.
wherever you want. Put me,
It's-
coach. He'll be the
it's
smallest
crazy.
guy out there
Right.
too. Put me at first.
Yeah.
Play more positions. That's my
Yeah,
suggestion.
I
too.
totally agree with that. So how do you teach? How do you coach the poor body language?
Oh, I said them.
Immediately?
No, it's, and I shouldn't say that. We've got some kids, emotional kids on both teams that if they get out, the tears start flowing a little bit. And that drives me crazy because I was built on, my dad taught me there's no crying in baseball. You don't cry about a baseball strikeout. You don't do it. And I struggle with that sometimes because you're going to strike out 1,000 more times. This game's going to take the best of you. If you're going to be that emotional after one out, good luck in this game. You're going to get out much more than you get on.
It's a game of failure.
It's terrible. So I think that's my struggle is some of the emotions in place. I don't think we've got kids that have bad body language. Maybe a couple here and there, they get down themselves, but they're not bad kids. They don't have an attitude. They're just too hard on themselves. That's what it comes down to.
That's most of it anyway.
But I think it's definitely you've got to coach them. You got to talk to them about it and let them know, hey, there's people in the stands watching you play. You're now 11, 12, 13 years old. I know it's funny. There are high school coaches that show up from time to time to watch some kid. If he strikes out, how does he respond to that?
That's what they want to see.
You never know. A high school coach could have a kid on the other team, and he's not really there scouting, but he's going to remember you throwing your helmet across the field after you got thrown out stealing a base.
I mean, I've heard a story. I'm sure you've heard this. Well, Coach Walker talked about this. They had a kid at Cal that some colleges were looking at. They went to watch this kid play. Had a so-so game, had a couple hits, but didn't hustle as much. Mm-hmm. There was a kid there that struck out twice, okay, but had great body language, okay, hustled, sprinted on and off the field. After the game, the college coach asked about that kid, not the one kid. So that makes a big deal. These guys don't want to deal with, let's be honest, attitudes. Mm-hmm. College guys are they're looking for a specific player. You may be 6'5", throwing 85, but you've got bad body language. They're not going to deal. They don't have to deal with it.
They
got the transfer portal now. They've got everything going on.
There's a guy right behind you just as good.
Yeah. That's just like high school too. Mm-hmm. So learn other spots, have better body language. If you strike out, that's okay. You may strike out 5 times a day. Next to bat. And I'm the hardest. I'm a parent too. I'm the hardest coach there is on their kid. It's terrible. It could be child labor law sometimes. How bad? Oh, trust me. I'm near divorce. I'm near divorce between March and July. I'm near divorce every year.
I'm telling you, John. I'm sorry, man.
Are you there with me?
Well,
do you feel it?
No, our assistant coach Todd is, but I'm real close.
He's close. He's close.
It's terrible.
I'm real close.
And that's. But I've made them though. It's funny. They're so conscious of how I respond of my body language. Mm-hmm. So I've got to lead by example. So I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
I'm working on that too. I'm very conscious of it. And every time I'm trying to do better with my son on that. But man, I'm so hard on him.
It's awful.
It's one of those situations. It's like, all right, if I'm going to bat you fourth, you better not strike out because that looks so bad on me.
He has to be perfect 24/7.
Because if not, the parents are going to be judging you as the coach of why is that kid batting fourth? It's the coach's son. That's why.
It's funny. So Coach Rick Bledsoe from Ballard, I missed a couple practices, and he was helping me coach a couple years ago, and my son had a practice and I wasn't there, and he called me. He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "That's the best he's ever played in his life." He goes, "The one difference was you weren't here
when you weren't around."
And he's been telling me, "Stop coaching your son. Just get away." So we try to now, at least in practicing games. I don't talk to him. I have my assistants coaching.
That's smart.
I'm trying something else because he's just trying to make me happy.
Right.
I get it. But that's a hard part of being a head coach, playing, and I played ball. So it's not like I'm just saying, hey, do this. So he feels a lot of pressure, just like I did with my dad. It was awful at times. It was awful. I'd hit a home run in high school. My dad asked me, "That was a ball you hit." I mean, it was awful.
Right.
It was awful at times.
What'd you swing it that for?
But I get it. So I get it natural, though. So anyway.
And it's hard on the kids, too.
It's
like
awful.
People don't realize it's just as hard on the kid being a kid's coach's son.
It really is.
As it is being the coach.
One of the toughest things I've dealt with for 6 years.
So I had on Mike Thomas, who is Justin Thomas's father.
Oh, wow.
Justin Thomas.
And now you have me. Wow.
Well,
that's
so different podcast.
So Justin
must have been a week off.
This was a golf podcast.
Okay. Gotcha.
So Justin Thomas's dad, Mike Thomas, is renowned of being like the ultimate father coach, right? Because he's Justin's coach. Justin's one of the best players in the world.
Right.
Tiger Woods has his son being coached by Mike Thomas. So if Tiger Woods picks you as the coach, you're the ultimate dad coach, right? So I asked him, I said, how do you deal as being with your son? He said, don't make it a job. They have their whole life to work.
That's so
Make
true.
it fun. The more of the job you make it, the more they're not going to want to do it. They got their whole life to worry about stuff, being an adult and working. Don't make it a job.
Shoot, my wife has said that to me for 5 years. She has said that herself. The worst part is the ride home. Let's be honest.
Hey,
the ride home is the worst for them.
I can vividly remember some rides home from like the Lawrenceburg area, and was just, I didn't know if I was going to make it all the way back, if I was going to get kicked out of the car because of how I treated my son that day. And I was mad at how he did this and that.
Yeah.
And, it's hard. Being a dad coach in that aspect is really, really hard. Now, flip side of this, John.
Okay.
So Rick and I have talked about this constantly. So the Wolves organization, we're the only dad coaches. The entire organization is baseball dudes, right? They
Really?
know baseball. They've played college.
didn't know
They've
that.
played professionally. We are the absolutely only dads. Now, we care more, we think, than these other dads or these other coaches because, it's not their
invested.
kids, right?
Right.
These kids aren't spending the night at their house. I mean, it's,
Right.
it's a little
different
bit
feel.
It's a different feel. We probably get a little bit more reps in. We're just a little bit more invested. And I think there's some positive on that side as well. So there's obviously give and take there for sure. But being a dad coach is tough.
I don't think anybody would, you can attest, will work harder for your team if you've got one of your boys on that
Totally
team.
agree.
And I think I'll try to figure out different drills, anything I can think of that worked in the past, but go over the time slot, or we'll add an extra practice.
Right.
Or we rented out Thurman Hutchins this fall. Anything we could do to get an extra field,
Yep.
I don't know if a non-dad would do that at times.
Totally agree.
And I think that's the good part about it. But the bad part is our kids, they'll suffer the most. I think.
What we just talked about.
Oh, they're stressed out 24/7, and it's just that shouldn't be the case. And you're right. So,
my son.
if there's like an AA class we can go to, that'd be great. I'll be all involved there. So.
My son, I think this was last year. He by the end of the season, he was one of our better batters on the team, and I think he struck out once. And the next game, he batted last from then on. And it was just because that one strikeout, you're done. You one mess up, and it's like, and that's just it's so bad of me. But
I batted my oldest boy 9 or 10 the entire year.
Yeah, I did that too.
Never gave him a chance.
I did that too.
And he probably didn't deserve it at times, but at other times, other kids got moved up just because. I never did.
Yep.
I could do
For
it.
the same reasons, for the same reasons the other kids
Right, same.
moved up a little
and
bit.
so my wife's like, why don't you ever give him a chance? I can't do it. He's my
Same.
son.
I'm same boat.
And that way I can't get a phone call saying, this and that. And not that my parents would do that, but
Right.
it's all about perception.
Same boat.
And I've got to be extra hard on him. So
Don, I feel you, man.
it stinks for him. It does stink for him
feel you.
sometimes.
Now
so.
I have opened up a little bit. I've moved him up in the lineup this year, and
Well, he's earned it, then it sounds
he
like.
has, and he's done
Well,
well.
there you go.
and Nobody's going to look at me and complain, but there was a strikeout this past tournament, and I'm like, that can't happen. You can't do that to me.
One strikeout?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
that
rough.
one.
You're worse than me, then I think.
I think I
actually.
am worse than you. I could probably guarantee that. I'm pretty bad. But,
That's pretty bad. I would agree.
all right. Favorite drill.
Okay, favorite drill, and I had to write this out.
Okay,
because
good. You're
This
prepared.
is just
You're prepared.
It's too complicated. Okay?
I like it.
So it's called the all-purpose rounds. Okay, so what we do,
All-purpose rounds.
we've got 6 rounds, and this is different variations
Okay.
too. So we'll have, let's say, 3 or 4 kids in each group. Okay, and
How many groups?
This day was 5 groups.
5 groups.
5 groups. So basically, you had round 1. Okay, you had, let's say, for example, pitchers picks to first. Okay, you had second base, double play feeds to the net, coach flips, work on that. Then we would bring another first base group in, down the first base line,
Yep.
and have third base throw across to that line.
Okay.
That's one group. Okay, round 2, you would have pitcher 1. We have 2 pitchers, one on first base side, one on second base side, or third base side. I'm sorry. You would have pitcher 1 would be double play feeds to shortstop, turn and throw to a net. To second base. So we have a net between first and second.
Got it.
Okay. We'd have pitcher 2 to third base work on their tag. Okay. And then first base, ground balls, unassisted play at first base. That's round 2. Okay. Now, I want to give Coach Walker credit. He does this a cow.
Okay.
So we just took a lot from high school
All right,
and just,
fair enough.
it's great.
I like it.
Round 3 would be shortstop to third base. Ground ball, boom, third base, work on the tag, okay? Next would be second base to first base. Simple ground ball to second, go to first base. Next would be first base pops off with the ball, catcher with the tag at home. That's round 3, okay? Catch the ball off the bag, you're going home, okay? The next one would be round 4, third base, double play, feed to the net. So you're at third base, throw the ball to second base, into a net, as in second base, okay? First base flips to the pitcher, covering the bag, okay, PFP. And then pitcher 2 on the right side is picks to second base. So you're working on picks to first, picks to second, and then the next round you've got third base slow rollers, making a charging throw to first base from there. And then shortstop to first, just making a normal ground ball to first. And then second base catch and tag from the coach. So we will throw the ball, or a catcher will, from the home plate to second base for the second base to catch and tag. Okay, and we'll do these drills for almost 45 minutes. We'll keep rotating and rotating, rotating. Okay, each group's for 5 minutes to give you an idea.
So does every kid do every position?
Every position.
So even like your catchers, or you having kids doing catching stuff that aren't catchers?
Yep. No. That's what I'm saying. The only drills we have with the catchers really is just the one drill we'll have them catch and tag at home. That's it. Or
Okay.
make a throw to second base.
Okay.
Other than that. They're involved at first, second.
I got you.
Short. It's a little bit awkward with some of the left-handers making the throws across the way. It's all about footwork, making the proper throw, glove down. But that's our favorite drill. And
all-purpose rounds. I like it.
All-purpose rounds. And it's one of the best things he's come up with. I love it.
It's
awesome. About 45 minutes.
That's new. It's never heard that one.
Yeah,
you might need a copy of that
because every single player never stands around. It's going the whole time, and they know where to go from station to station. It's fun. It really is fun. I mean, it gets the coaches going.
So are you hitting fungos?
Fungos are going everywhere. Yep.
2 fungo, like
we have 2 fungos.
Okay.
We got catchers, our coaches rolling the ball. Yeah, everything. We got 4 or 5 coaches out there doing this. So
we may have to come film this and put this on tape.
This
sounds like a mess.
It's excellent. No, it really isn't.
Sounds impressive.
I mean, it sounds great.
It's excellent. It really is.
You kind of lost me a little bit, but
no, I know it's a little confusing, but you have to see it. But it does work.
How often do you do it?
We talked about that. We're going to do it once a week. Probably. So we did it. We started in the fall for the first time this fall doing that, and we did it 1 practice a week typically. So we would do it for about 45 minutes, and then hit the second round, or work on team defense or rundowns. There's also variations: rundowns, cutoffs. I mean, he's got everything kind of organized. It's impressive. I'm not going to lie to you. So
all-purpose rounds.
All-purpose rounds.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
I dig it. John, this has been awesome, man. I know you were a little apprehensive there at first, but
I'm a nobody, so that's why.
Hey, this has been fantastic. Hey, Rick, where are you going to go buy a bat at?
GuardianBaseball.com.
GuardianBaseball.com.
Give me an Easton bat.
Come on, please go check it out. I talked to Zeb today. They're going to start selling it to all the high schools. Yeah. So, did you know that high schools buy everything online and they're paying more than where they could go pay at Guardian Baseball?
They could probably use our promo code too.
They could use our promo code. No, but seriously, they hired the rep that's going to go out and start doing all the high school sales.
All
so,
right.
Guardian Baseball, if you're a high school coach, you're listening to this.
They can get you anything you need.
Listen, you're going to pay more, and you're not doing it locally. So you got somebody here local.
Right.
You're going to pay less. Give Guardian Baseball a look. John, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, if you want to buy a chance on our Wolves raffle, our
it's
Wolves,
a good deal. It's a really good deal.
Yeah, our Wolves parents would be very, very excited about that. So we'll put the link
just in time for the holidays, so you can share it with your family.
Awesome.
Or use it for yourself.
Thanks a lot, guys.